Oh my goddess! G'day to all you lovely people and welcome back to my channel. I'm Kathy and today we are going to talk about this. Peace Talks, Book 16 in the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. Okay. Now, Peace Talks was published at least 5 years after Book 15, Skin Game. And my understanding is that Peace Talks and Battleground Book 17 were meant to be one volume. But because it ended up being a very large book, it was split into two. Like my other reviews, this one is split into 3 parts, without spoilers, with spoilers, and the summary at the end. And you can find all timestamps in my description box below. Okay, let's talk about Peace Talks. Okay. Some characters that we run into in this include Ramirez, the warden. We also see Ebenezer. We also see Chris or Christos. I can't remember if that is his name. The newest senior council member. We see Goodman Gray from Skin Game. I really loved this character. We also see Michael and Murphy and Sonia and Butters. Yeah, there were a lot of characters in this from the previous books. I think the only ones we didn't see were the fallen angels. But then apparently Nicodemus's tail is between his legs and he's hiding out somewhere. We also see Lara from the White Court. I really enjoy her character. She has depths to her. She might be ruthless, but she is so strongly attached to her family, particularly Thomas, that she surprised me in this book as to what kind of things she is prepared to do to protect Thomas. When we start the book, Harry is now living in Molly's apartment with the Svartalfs. I don't know how to pronounce that. And he is living there with Maggie and Mouse. I can't remember if Mr. is living there as well. I don't think he is. And right at the beginning of the book, we learn that Justine, Thomas's lover, is pregnant. Yeah, I had to remind myself that not all the vampires in Butcher's world are made. Some of them are born. The White Court vampires are born, I think. So that is how we start. And the main plot involves peace talks that are going to be taking place under the Unseelie Accords between the different magical factions in this world. The factions include the ghouls, for example, the vampires, the White Council, the Fae Courts, the Svartalfs, and that is just to name a few of the different groups involved. And Ramirez, another warden and friend of Harry's, comes to see him and tells him that he is required to provide security for some members of the senior council in the White Council. All these councils, I always have trouble with that. Anyway, so of course we all know that something is going to happen at these peace talks. We also learn that Harry and Karen Murphy are finally in a relationship. Hallelujah. Yeah, I was really pleased to see that. It only took them 15 books, right? But hey, at least now they are together. And Karen is recovering from the injuries she sustained in Skin Game, where Nicodemus beat her really badly. Now, in Skin Game, we are given to believe that Karen will mostly recover from her injuries. Perhaps she will regain 90% mobility. But in this book, we learn that that's not the case, that in fact she is going to have much less mobility. I had trouble with this. Not that it is a bad idea. Karen is, let's not forget, human. She is not supernatural in any way, and she is dealing with supernatural beings. Of course she's going to get more severely injured than someone else. But that was tough for me to read, perhaps because I can relate. I'm actually in a wheelchair, but I wasn't always in a wheelchair, so I understand what it's like when your body does not do what you want it to do, and to have to accept that all of a sudden things that you were able to do, you no longer are able to. It is a really difficult process coming to terms with something like that. So I really empathized with Karen in this book. The major plot isn't just about these peace talks. It is in fact about something involving Thomas. Thomas commits an act that has major repercussions for Harry, for others, for some of the peace talks. I'd like to tell you what he did, but I'm worried that it would be considered a spoiler, so I will deal with that in the spoiler section of this video. A major theme, I think, of this book is prejudices and how we deal with them. Ebenezer, Harry's grandfather, comes to see him and comes across Thomas, who we all know is a vampire. Ebenezer is so unwilling to accept Thomas as part of Harry's life. He tries to convince him that he should not trust Thomas, that Thomas will turn on him because that is his nature. And it is quite clear he has very, very deep-seated prejudices against vampires. And it causes a rift between Harry and his grandfather. And it isn't just Ebenezer who is prejudiced, obviously. Harry also acknowledges that he has an unreasoning hatred of ghouls. And that stems from what happened to two young recruits in the White Council that Harry was training in Mexico. I can't recall which book that took place in. And I think that was meant to mirror Ebenezer's unreasoning hatred for vampires. Another theme, I think, in this book is about familial obligations, family. How much are we willing to do for family? How much should we do for family? Do we try to protect them at all costs, even though it might mean that they will suffer in other ways? Or is it more important to be with family, to have them close, because that bond of family is so crucial? I think given what happened to Maggie, who did not live her life with either her mother or her father, Harry believes it is more important that Maggie be with him, that she needs a father, rather than just trying to keep her safe, because it leads to other issues, as Harry is very well aware. This was something actually that I hadn't thought about until it was brought up in this book. We know that Ebenezer is Harry's grandfather. We also know that Harry's parents died when he was very young. It didn't occur to me, which it should have, that his grandfather made no effort to bring Harry to him, that he allowed him to go into foster homes instead of taking him in. Ebenezer decided to do that to protect Harry. Really? And we all know how that turned out. Harry fell under the influence of Justin, his first mentor, who used dark magic. And Harry almost ended up being killed because he breached one of the laws of magic. So yeah, that wasn't very successful, was it? And the same could be said with Maggie. So it seems that these efforts to protect family by distancing them, by unacknowledging them, is not successful. And I found it really heartbreaking when Harry said to his grandfather, "You abandoned me when I really needed someone." Yeah, that just broke my heart, because I agree with him. It certainly didn't turn out for the best for Harry, and it didn't turn out for the best for Maggie. And Ebenezer seems very intent of pushing his views onto Harry, which ended up in a real conflict arising between them. It's not uncommon for older people to assume they always know better. But I was surprised at just how inflexible Ebenezer was in this book. About Thomas, about Maggie, and that Harry should do what Ebenezer wants. Why? Harry is a fully grown male. He is a father. I think he's the one who should make the decisions for his family, for his child, and certainly not Ebenezer, who didn't even acknowledge that Harry was related to him until very late in life. No, you don't get a say anymore. There was even a suggestion that Ebenezer might take Maggie away without telling Harry. I was like, are you kidding? These senior council members seem to feel that they're gods, that they have the right to make decisions without consulting others. Wow, I just had so much difficulty with this. And I don't blame Harry whatsoever for being really angry and threatening Ebenezer. Yeah. I know I've gone on a bit of a tangent, but I really felt that that was a major part of this story. But perhaps it was more than just that. Perhaps, because there is definitely hints throughout this book that the council, the White Council, does not trust Harry. I think because he is the Winter Knight. Perhaps because he also controls Demon Reach, the island. I'm really not sure why, but they just suspect him of working for the bad guys. Who the hell are the bad guys? Ma'am? See, I had difficulty with this, that they don't trust Harry because he is the Winter Knight of the Winter Fae Court, and yet, the White Council and the Fae Court have a very close relationship. They respect each other. They work together. Oh, but they're not one of us. They're Fae. They're not human. And I think this was an indication of yet another prejudice that the White Council has, or humans have. Well, that's the impression I got, that the council doesn't feel any other group, magical creature, is quite as good as they are because they're not human. Mab actually said, I think in this book, that you're a wolf and they're sheep, and that's why they're afraid of you. Perhaps that is also another reason. They are afraid that Harry is growing more powerful than they are, or some members are. And they can't control him because they've never been able to control Harry. Yeah, I'm not sure if that is accurate or not. That was the impression I got through this book. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about a few things I didn't like, and then I'll get into the things I really liked about this book. I did not like the storyline with Thomas. And that is really all I can say in this part of the video. Perhaps it's a reflection of my boredom with Thomas's character, because I am bored with his character. I do not find him interesting at all, which is odd because at the beginning I really loved his character. Now he just seems so full of angst and self-indulgent, and yeah, he just bores the crap out of me. Yeah, let me know if you feel the same way or whether that is just me. But that storyline I didn't like. We are also introduced to a new, very powerful being. I found that character, Ethniu, I think her name is, really dull as well. There wasn't a real indication of motivation for her behavior. She just seemed bent on destruction for no reason. I do think, however, that perhaps the storyline with Ethniu suffered because these books have been split into two instead of being the one major volume. What else didn't I like? The council. When do I like the council, right? There is a confrontation between Harry and the wardens. It did not ring true for me given these characters, given that they are friends of Harry's. Now, Butcher tried to explain that they were following orders. I still did not think it was realistic. And I also suspect that it was a plot device that Butcher was using to create a conflict between the White Council and Wardens and Harry. And I didn't like it. I didn't feel enough groundwork had been laid that it had reached that point. Something else I didn't like is Rudy the cop, that scared little shit, that worm, because he is a worm, cop who seems to be intent on destroying Harry and Karen's lives because he can't accept the evidence of his own eyes. He is one of the most pathetic creatures I've ever seen. I don't know how realistic he is either. I think if you've seen enough magic and magical creatures that eventually you'd have to accept that this is real. And yet he's not willing to. Yeah, I wasn't sure how I liked that storyline. For one, Rudy and another cop go and interview Karen because of events that took place in Skin Game. She wasn't even near the vault, and yet they're questioning her. Yeah, I'm sorry, where's the connection? There wasn't any other than the fact that Karen and Harry have a relationship, work together. It was so pathetically weak that I thought, why is this story even in this? I can understand them questioning Harry because Harry is known for blowing up buildings. And really, God, how much do I despise this character? I really do. I absolutely loathe him. He is like a thorn under the skin, right, to both Harry and Karen Murphy. So let's move on to what I liked. Oh, I love that Harry and Karen finally are in a relationship. I always felt they were meant to be. I also love seeing Mab vulnerable. She's always come across as this very powerful being, almost too powerful and almost capricious. Now, perhaps that is a prejudice of mine regarding the Fae. I've always seen them as very capricious creatures. They never seem to have any true purpose. It's only been in the last few books that we've learned they do in fact have a much greater purpose in this world that Butcher has created. It just adds more layers to her character. Dino Serenade! I love that. Yeah, and that's all I can say here. Goodman Gray. We don't spend a lot of time with him, which is fine, but he is really an interesting character. I'd like to know so much more about him. Karen. Oh, always Karen. She is indomitable. She is fearless. I have so much huge respect for this character. She is definitely a favourite of mine, always has been. And I've loved seeing how she has developed into who she is. Unlike Rudy, she has just grown and grown as a person, as a character. Yeah, I really love this character so much. Okay, there are a few other things I really liked about this book, but I will talk about them in the spoiler section. So let's jump into the spoilers. Thomas. Yeah. Thomas kills a Svartalf, and he tries to kill the king, I think, of the Svartalfs in the building where Harry lives with his daughter, his 8-year-old daughter. Okay, I know that this is most likely a plot device, but why the hell did he not warn Harry? Why not? He didn't. He didn't tell Harry anything. He went and committed this crime, and he let Harry and Maggie be put in danger because the Svartalfs suspected Harry of helping Thomas. Wow, that just did not make sense to me. And frankly, I do not understand why Harry went to such lengths to rescue Thomas. He committed the crime, there's no doubt about it. I don't care what his reasons are, he committed it. He should at least stand trial. But it did raise an interesting question, because I discussed this with my brother, right? What would you do to protect your family? How far would you go? I don't know. It's a tough one, isn't it? Like, I get why Harry did it, but I don't know how he can reconcile that with his own behaviour towards the vulnerable, to anyone who is put at risk by magical creatures. It's one rule for them and another rule for his own family. Yeah, I really had trouble with this concept, but not because it was necessarily unrealistic. I had a lot of trouble finding any sympathy or empathy for the character of Thomas. I thought he deserved to rot because he put Harry in danger, Maggie in danger, and he committed a murder. Yeah, I really felt that you can't be a signatory to the Unseelie Accords and abide by the rules only when it suits you. It is so goddamn hypocritical. And ultimately what Lara and Harry did in rescuing Thomas was flout the rules of the Unseelie Accords and show how little, if any, respect they had for those rules. So I really disliked that storyline for those reasons. I'm curious if other people did as well. I mentioned that I didn't like the confrontation between Ramirez and the other wardens and Harry. You'd think they're friends, right? Perhaps they are a little concerned that Harry may not be one of the good guys, though what evidence they have, I don't know, because none was mentioned other than the fact that he is the Winter Knight. And I completely understood Harry's reaction when one of the wardens delved him to check whether he has had sex. What an invasion of privacy. What a disrespectful act. Wow, I was enraged. And it didn't even happen to me. If I was Harry, I probably would have blasted them. How dare they think that they're entitled to do that? How dare they? It's none of their business. Just like Harry pointed out, it was none of their business. However, as I said, I suspect that this was deliberate on Butcher's part to make us despise the council. Now, he didn't have to go that far. I already despise them. Now, let's talk about some of the things I liked. I love that Harry is now living with Maggie. Yeah, I felt that was the best course. I don't agree with Ebenezer that Harry was better off or that Maggie would be better off if she is somewhere safe, because she wasn't safe. She wasn't safe when she lived with this foster family. Harry wasn't safe when he lived with foster families. And when I realised that there might be a showdown between Harry and Ebenezer, yeah, they are completely at odds though on this issue about Thomas as well, about family basically. That scene between them where Ebenezer loses his temper and thinks he kills Harry, holy shit. Yeah, that I did not expect. And I think that indicates that he is not necessarily as good a guy as we have been led to believe. That he has impulse control issues, definitely. He was prepared to kill his own grandson. His own grandson. That says a lot about this character. It seems like principles and this council matters more than his own flesh and blood. Clearly, they do. He hid the fact that Margaret was his daughter. He didn't even try to contact Harry after he was orphaned. Yeah, I think this character is much more selfish than we have been led to believe by Harry's observations. So let's not forget, we are reading Harry's observations, and he has a soft spot for the old man. And I don't think the old man deserves that. Yeah, I kind of wanted to see a showdown between them, and then I kind of did it because I was like, oh my God, no, I don't know if I can deal with it, because it would have such a major impact on Harry anyway. I've mentioned before, I am very ambivalent about Ebenezer. He's a hypocrite of the biggest order. He spouts following the laws of magic, and yet he is the Black Staff. And he kills hundreds, thousands of people. Yeah, I have a lot less respect for him than Harry does. Lara. I love that she has so much affection for Thomas. And it became clear that she was the one who brought him up, so it's natural. That's something actually I can relate to as well. I have a much, much younger brother, and I almost felt like I was a second mum to him as we were growing up. So I can understand Lara's feelings for Thomas. But at the end, when Harry imprisons Thomas on Demon Reach and Lara goes crazy, the truth is that she was so sure that Harry was trying to manipulate her, because this is what she does, that I found it interesting. She couldn't recognize perhaps he doesn't have a hidden agenda. This wasn't leverage against her. This was simply his way to protect her brother. When they were looking to get Thomas out, I wondered where the hell would he stash Thomas. I should have realized it was the island. It was a smart move actually to hide Thomas there, because no one can step on the island if Harry wishes, because Harry has so much control over this island. Ethniu. I don't know about you, but I was unimpressed with this character. I just found her boring and dull, really. Like I said, I can't understand her motivation for wanting to create such chaos other than chaos itself. I know that some people do thrive on chaos, but it didn't give me a great impression of who this goddess is. Yeah, goddess, right? Let's not forget, she's a goddess, because hey, we don't have enough powerful beings in this world already. And it's quite clear that Mabby's nowhere near as powerful as we thought, and that she has a history with this creature. I did not love this one. This one was one of my least favorite books, I will admit. My feeling is that this book suffered being split from Battleground, book 17, the next one in the series. I found it lightweight, just not as engrossing as so many of the other books. And for a score, I'm going to give this 5.5 to 6. Yeah. That's a low score. I think that is the lowest score I've given. Let me know what you think of my score. Do you agree with me? Am I being too hard? Tell me what you thought of the book. Did you like it? Did you hate it? You know, I always want to hear your opinions. And you can put it down in the comments, or you can contact me on Instagram. Thank you all very much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, you can do the usual. You can like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I will see you next time. Bye.